For those of you that don't know Perform is a business that, if you're a sports fan around the world, you're most likely using our content, but you probably don't know that you are. So we power the underlying sports content across broadcasters, publishers, websites around the world, and have actually started getting into the direct-to-consumer space ourselves recently with a number of our own branded sports websites, Sporting News in the US, the world's largest soccer website, Goal. A brief snapshot of the business. We listed in 2011. Apologies for any internet businesses that were trying to list after us in 2011, because I think we managed to close the IPO market for tech stocks for about 6 months as our stock went down by around about 50% over the first 3 months. I'm very glad to say it's been a very successful story since then, and that was market-led rather than performance-led. We have about 1,500 staff around the world, operate in 26 countries, supplying 2,700 different distributors of content. And every month, about 180 million sports fans hit our platform and either pay for content or click on our advertising, and we generate revenue. A couple of highlights. I think for us, floating the business has been a great thing. When we look back in 2011, we had the opportunity to probably look at a trade sale. We might have got £400 to £500 million for the business, but we were big believers in the growth potential of the business. So we raised around £70 million of primary money that we've deployed in various acquisitions. We've subsequently tapped the market for another £100 million, and it's been a very good growth story for us. And I think for those of you out there thinking about IPO, I think there's a big tendency in tech companies to think you've got to go to the US. My sense is there's real scarcity value for quality internet growth stories in the UK, and I think you get value for that. Share price as well. First of all, let's touch on revenues. We've doubled revenues in the 3 years since IPO. Our share price has just more than doubled. I think we went down to around £1.50 3 months after the IPO, and it's currently around about £5.50. Market cap of about 1.4 billion. We now have expanded into 10 new territories. Some of those have been acquisition-led. Some of those have been organic growth plays. And the audience is growing very fast too. When we set out at IPO and talked about our growth strategy, it was fivefold. It was expand our digital sports content portfolio, broaden geographically, launch new products, expand through acquisitions, and make our content available on more connected platforms. And I'll just touch on some of the success stories we've had there. So content-wise, we've almost doubled the portfolio of live video content. We stream content every single day of the year, every single hour of the day. If you're a betting website, we can give you content live streaming from 6 in the morning UK time through till 4 in the morning UK time. We're buying content from Australia, Asia, Middle East, Africa, Europe, South, North America, giving people continuity of live streaming content. We've expanded the amount of rights we've bought. From a data point of view, it's probably been our big growth focus. So we've really started investing and growing our data proposition. Sports data is becoming more and more important, and to the bookmaking sector, it's really what drives their in-play proposition. So this year we will create live data from 62,000 sports matches around the world. Editorially, we've grown our output. Most of that has been through the acquisition of Goal, the largest soccer website in the world. And from a VOD point of view, this year we'll do over 4 billion video streams. I expect us to do somewhere in the region of 5 to 6 billion video streams next year. Geographically, we've launched 10 new offices. I'll just touch on a couple of highlights. We've obviously acquired in a couple of territories like Turkey, Australia, and Germany. But I think the real successes have actually been where we've put our own people in. So in Africa now, we've got offices in South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. That's a business that 2 years ago was doing zero revenue for us. This next year, around a World Cup, we'll do in the region of $4 million of advertising revenue out of Africa. And I think in certain markets like Nigeria, we probably have about a 1/3 share of the entire digital ad market. Similarly, Indonesia last year was a $100,000 business for us. This year it's closer to $1 million. And I think there's huge opportunity for high-quality digital content businesses in some of these developing markets, albeit it's a mobile-only approach. You've seen the explosion of new digital content platforms over the last couple of years, and one of the, I guess, the challenges for any business out there that is a content business is keeping a pace with the new platform launches. I think that the mobile phone space or the smartphone space has sort of become easy because you're developing for 2 platforms, maybe 3 platforms. The connected television space is still hugely fragmented and a lot more complicated and costly to develop. So I think we are playing in that space, but not being hugely innovative and watching what other people are doing and watching what will be the key platforms that win in that space. Product-wise, we continue to innovate. If there are any football fans out there, I would encourage you to follow Goal Flash on Twitter or download our new Goal Live service. We have, obviously, all of these scouts in the grounds creating live scores. The scores are so fast that you get the scores ahead of seeing the goals on television. It ruins your Sunday afternoon because you'll get the bleep in your phone and then about 4 seconds later you'll see the goal scored. But it is incredibly good in the pub when you can one-up on your mates. Just touch on a couple of the bigger acquisitions we've done. As I mentioned, acquisitions were a key focus following our IPO. There are 2 types of acquisitions we've really followed: product acquisitions and geographical acquisitions. This is the biggest geographical acquisition we've done, which was the acquisition of Sporting News in the US. We had a very strong position in online video in the US. We're number 2 in the online video space, but by acquiring Sporting News got us to number 1. So in the space of 3 years, we are now bigger than ESPN in digital video in the US following this acquisition. And in the digital property space, we're number 7. So that really, I mean, I think that's a great story for a UK business going into the US. There's very few, I'd say, champions out of Europe that start dominating the US, and I think this has been one of the big success stories of our growth over the last couple of years. A product-led acquisition was Opta. Again, if any of you are football fans and you watch Sky or read the Telegraph or go to the BBC website, you'll increasingly see that sports data is becoming a critical component of the way that broadcasters measure the success of teams. So whenever you hear how many meters Wayne Rooney's run or what the pass completion rate of Jack Wilshere is, that is all of us. And we are big believers in data and big data, and sports data is becoming increasingly important in the overall sports content mix. A funny aside, if any of you are here and are football fans, one of my favourite players is a guy called Dimitar Berbatov, who played for Spurs, who is notoriously brilliant but notoriously lazy. And I had dinner with him recently, and I said, "Oh, we've bought Opta," and he said, "I hate Opta. It just shows I'm the laziest player in the league." So we're loved by media companies and hated by footballers. So just a brief summary of where we're at in 2013. I think we're in an amazing position. We've got the world's largest digital sports audience. We're entering a World Cup year in 2014 where, you know, people keep talking about this being the first truly digital World Cup, where consumption's going to be equally split television and digital. And I think with our content, our reach, and our platforms such as Goal.com, we're in a great position to really benefit from that. Equally, we're relaunching all of our betting deals, and I think we're in a great position there as the dominant provider of live video streaming and live data content to a very interesting growth sector in online sports betting. So that is me.